The ice is typically around 5 centimeters when I skate on it. That sound you hear is actually a combination of two sounds. It's the sounds from cracks striking beneath me and the vibrations within the ice plate itself. It sounds like it's something supersonic.
Meet Morten Einar.
Hi, I'm Morten Einar.
He's a mathematician who enjoys riskier hobbies than most.
I've been skating on thin ice for 40 years.
When he's skating, though, he's also listening.
The thinner the ice, the higher the pitch. Just about when the ice is to break, and that would be about 3 centimeters, the pitch is at the high C, the supposedly highest note of the soprano singing.
Morten relies on his knowledge as a mathematician to calculate the thickness of the ice, its flexibility, and its temperature.
Many people tend to freak out when they see us skating on thin ice, but I couldn't be more calm because I know what I'm doing. Sometimes the ice is perfectly clear and I can see fish below, even a beaver, and also free divers swimming under the ice.
When Morten first started, there wasn't any physics or scientific information to explain how thin ice skating is possible. He studied the ice for 10 years every winter to explain the phenomenon.
I observed 3 things with a thin ice. One is that the ice bends, and the thinner it is, the more it bends. The ice needs to be flexible to support you. Second, the first crack is a true warning signal. Then I know the ice is thin. And when it gets even thinner, more cracks evolve. And finally, the ice gives sonorous tone, beautiful, eerie tone, which immediately tells me how thick the ice is. It's called the coincidence frequency, and it can be calculated mathematically.
Morten has skated on over 1,800 bodies of water in North America, Norway, and Central and Eastern Europe.
I love skating for the excitement and challenges it brings. It's an opportunity for math and nature to come together and make it understandable for me. I've been skating most of my life, and I always look forward to next winter.
This incredible glacier, located in Alaska, is a popular tourist destination. But the best way to see it is from the inside. Mendenhall Glacier is a 12-mile-long glacier in the Mendenhall Valley in Alaska's Tungus National Forest. The ice caves are the glacier's surreal interior. Access to see these icy walls are only available to the truly adventurous. To see the ice caves requires a kayak trip, an ice climb over the glacier, and once you're inside, the faith that the melting walls around you won't give away. But this natural wonder is under threat. The glacier has been retreating incredibly quickly in recent years due to warmer temperatures and rising sea levels. It has receded by almost 2 miles since 1958. But what remains is an utterly breathtaking fantasy land.
Think of being in a freezer and then somebody puts your face directly into a big pile of wet ice cubes. That's what it feels like.
I'm speaking to Lisa Kelly. She's a scuba diver with National Geographic, and she leads expeditions in Antarctica and the Arctic. Temperatures in Arctic waters typically range between 25 and 35 degrees Fahrenheit. Because the waters are so cold, divers have to use special gear. This includes the use of a dry suit. These suits actually keep divers dry when they're underwater.
I like to call it a self-induced state of hypothermia, really, because even though you're dry, you're still going to get cold. And that is such a shock on people's system. Unfortunately, there have been deaths due to cardiac incidents because of that.
Aside from the cold, there are other things that divers need to be on a lookout for.
Walrus, and to a certain extent polar bears. Animals like killer whales reverberate sound. We call it pinging. It sounds like a gunshot underwater. It can go right through you.
But Lisa Kelly says that diving in the Antarctic and the Arctic is an unparalleled experience, and it starts on the boat.
That initial feeling when you fall back in the water, it's just the sound of you breathing through your regulator. It suddenly becomes your own little world. All of a sudden, all these amazing colors start to pop out. It really is a whole other universe. And in Antarctica, you're there in a place where possibly nobody has ever dived before.
These organisms are beautiful and iconic. There's certain types that are present nowhere else on Earth. So it's very important to study them. My name is Drew Laura, and I'm the principal investigator on Science Under the Ice. Science Under the Ice is what we've been calling our project, where we've been studying the resilience of organisms, the seafloor organisms, to climate-related changes. And we do science under the ice, literally, by scuba diving under frozen ocean in Antarctica. The most recent trip was to Explorers Cove, New Harbor, which is in the Ross Sea, Antarctica. Our team was 9 scientists and technicians, and of those, 7 of them were scientific divers that dived underneath the ice. We are about to commence our dive operations for the morning/afternoon. On this trip, we went diving underneath the ice to deploy a large-scale experiment involving incubation chambers that we deployed to the seafloor. We also surveyed the fauna using standard survey techniques, and we collected organisms for isotopic analysis so we can reconstruct food webs and how they've changed since our previous trips. The water is -2 degrees Celsius. It's very, very cold. And we have to dive through 10 feet of sea ice in order to access our study sites. Diving in under the ice is quite surreal. It's like diving in twilight because the light is dim. It's almost, in some ways, like diving in outer space because of the vistas that you get towards the underside of the ice with the light coming through. And the clarity of the water is unbelievable. It's almost like you're floating in air rather than floating in water. I think documenting what is down there now and how it's changing over time is really important. This year, all of us were struck by just how quickly things can change, and it shows just how there is essentially climate models that are predicting changes in sea ice conditions. Science under the ice is pretty extreme.
It's hard to keep the heat up in the huts because the Sigma stoves are not working that well.
That being said, the divers love diving under the ice because of the beauty and the unique experience that it provides.
Once you start climbing, then the biggest hazard is avoiding all those big icicles. They are huge, like the size of a family car. Those daggers are really not attached that well to the rock, and sometimes it takes just a small kick and they just collapse and fall down. My name is Clement Premeren. I'm an ice climber and adventurer. My climbing has taken me to so many different places all over the world. Then Hampton Falls came into the radar and it just changed everything. I mean, it's the steepest ice you can find anywhere. Once you're there and you're walking towards the icefall, you just get this feeling how big it is. I mean, it's huge and it's steep. To have overhanging ice, it's really rare. Usually ice climbs are formed vertically. We didn't see overhanging ice before Hampton Falls. I do believe life starts when you step out of the comfort zone. Climbing forces you to go outside of your comfort zone. It forces you to look out for this fragile line between having good time and not risking too much. Fear is present a lot. But once I'm there and once I start to work on the route, the fear just goes away. There is no more fear. It's just about climbing and having good times.